Well, here we are, y'all, viewers and listeners, Wahoo fans. It's tournament time. We made the field of 64 at a 4 seed. Now let's talk about where we're playing and who we're playing.
You are Locked On Virginia, your daily podcast on the Virginia Cavaliers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good day, viewers and listeners. I'm your host, Big Law Lawrence Johnson, and welcome to Locked On Virginia Cavaliers podcast, your first place to come to get your Wahoo fix every day. As part of the Locked On Podcast Network, of course, the date is 3/13/2023. And this is, quite frankly, the calm before the storm. Keep in mind, after Selection Sunday, which was yesterday, you have kind of a break, in here, where teams get some rest after they just finished their conference tournaments. Then you have this Monday, Tuesday, right? Monday, Tuesday. And then after Monday, Tuesday, it's on, man. It's on and popping. I can tell you for right now, for the Wahoos, they're playing early this year, meaning they're playing on a Thursday. And they're playing at 12:40. I believe it's going to be on True TV. And they have the Paladins, the Furman Paladins. And the Furman Paladins, they are very, very formidable. Formidable Furman. But yeah, they're out of South Carolina. And, when we think about, the Wahoos and who they are and where they have come from, it's almost like we've seen 5 different teams this year, and we can go through the phases. But, beginning of the year, lights out, coming off of a Italian basketball, pro Italian league trip where they played a whole bunch of pro teams from Italy and coming over, shooting the lights out, getting used to all the new players as far as Ben Vanderplas goes and the rookies, the 4 stars that have come in and, came in to make a difference and wanted to kind of fight for roster spots because I guess, Tony's going to redshirt, a lot of his rookies or a lot of his freshmen. That's just the Bennett way. But I guess Tony could kind of see some things in these 4 stars and say, you know what, I'm going to keep a few of these on. They're better than some of my tenured players, which they are, and they wound up being that way. But yeah, so they shot the lights out, shot really well at the beginning of the year. Of course, that's not necessarily always out of out of the ordinary. They beginning of the year always kind of comes to that way. Also, then you think about the middle of the beginning of the year, played well, still playing well, minimal losses. Then they get to the mid part of the season, right? This is when they started having some issues. You could see, they were winning, but you could see some things start to break down. You started to see some breaks in their armor, as you would say, as far as the defense goes. And then we get into the next phase, which is losing. Okay, they wound up losing 5. This is before the tournament. Excuse me, 6. This is before the tournament, and they lost 4 out of 8 games, or 9 games out of a stretch, and it was kind of a thing where we had to kind of figure out what kind of team we were going to be. We're going to play Tony Bennett's style, which is walk it up, limited possessions, be very efficient on the offensive end, look for good shots, run the offense, and work the offense until you get a good shot. And then on the defensive end, make sure that you stay in front of the man that you're guarding. Make sure they shoot over you. Don't give up any points in the paint. Well, that was good for a little while. And then the middle of the season came, like I said. And they just started having issues. They started having too many issues with with giving up points. That's the first thing that you'll see UVA do, which you never see them hardly do. They gave up points in the middle of the court. You don't see that. And that came with also a switch on the defensive end. They took out Caden and Poppy and started playing Bennett Vanderplas. And no shade at Bennett Vanderplas at BVP. He gives us an element that we actually missed this time through, with this loss that we just took against Duke coming into the tournament. But, on the defensive end, they would struggle. And I'm not, and like I said, I'm not blaming Ben for their hard times, because there was times that the team truly benefited from Ben being able, his ability to spread out defenses when your center steps out behind the three. They're going to have to step out and guard him, especially when he's making that shot, which gives your guards opportunities to move in behind the guard, gives them creases to drive. But lo and behold, going through the losing streak, still trying to figure yourselves out. Then Tony went back to the well, went back to the basics. Started using his old school offense, mover blocker. Okay. Then once they got to the mover blocker of an offense, something that they used to running, something that they ran forever. Then you get into the end of the year, which is like the fourth phase. All right. In the fourth phase, they kind of found themselves again, started looking like old school UVA. Bennett Vanderplas hurts his hand. Well, this is before he hurts his hand. Before we get to the tournament, at the end of the year, they find themselves. Clemson and Louisville game. They find their game. They are more defensive oriented, even though the shooting has not come back. Their shooting's woes are still there. They're still shooting the ball from deep at an atrocious rate, but they're still getting buckets in the paint, and we can live with that because they're winning. They're getting to the paint, but then comes along the ACC tournament, which is the fifth phase, and they looked good. Beat a team by 15, beat a team by 20, Clemson, and you think it's going okay, and then you run into a buzzsaw named Duke. Of course, a lot of the fans from the side of from the North Carolina triangle, Duke fans were upset. Felt like UVA got away with one. Oh well, so what? You can go back and hear my show for that. A lot of people were upset about that, but Duke beat UVA, and they really beat him handedly. And UVA also helped them by shooting as bad as they did. They shot bad all over the court. They shot bad at three, shooting from arc, and it really kind of clears some things up for me at where I think this team needs to go next. Built Bar Madness. The Built March Madness bracket is here. We know you have a favorite bar or puff, and now it's time to make it count. Go to BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorites. You know you'll be voting for my favorite, the coconut bar. And if you want Locked On Virginia to win, then you'll be voting for that bar too. Support your team, support your bar or puff. And when you vote for your favorite bar or puff, you will enter into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will win a 12-month subscription to have Built's best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. You gotta try Built. Built, the best protein bar ever. Seriously. They're so amazing, you won't think they're good for you. What makes Built Puffs so good, bars and puffs so good? Well, the starters, they're high in protein, low in sugar, and covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. Run to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote for your favorite bar or puff and pick out a box while you're there. You can vote every day in March, so hop in and support your pick. Grab your bracket and go listen to Locked On College Basketball Bracket Breakdown with national analysis and insights from local experts. The Locked On College Basketball Bracket Breakdown has everything you need to make the most informed decisions on your bracket. Find the episode on Locked On College Basketball wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. So yeah, as we're talking about the Wahoos coming up, losing to Duke, in the last game of the tournament, I think it was a little bit of humble pie for the Wahoos. And there's nothing wrong with losing in the ACC championship, but it was almost like I felt, what was the word? I felt helpless. I felt helpless. Watching, what the team was trying to do, right? I'm thinking that the team, could start hitting their outside shots at any time, but it just didn't happen. So for me, I kind of worry. Remember, this was the team that lost, the first team that lost a 1 versus a 16. And a team like the Furman Paladins, who spread you out, similar to what UMBC does, and they shoot from deep, that really gives me just an uneasy feeling. I hope that they'll be fine, but do we, viewers and listeners, let me know how you feel. Do you guys feel like you're comfortable, with where you are with the Wahoos right now, coming off of a loss against Duke? I know that Duke was not happy with their draw. I think Duke, even though they won the ACC tournament, they got a harder draw than the Virginia Cavaliers got. So now that now that we're kind of thinking, how do you feel about that? I think UVA, they got a decent draw, not easy but decent. But in the Sweet 16, if everything goes according to plan, they will play Alabama, the overall number 1 seed in this tournament. And, for me, I think that we're going to have to play this by ear. We got to go game by game. It's going to be a whirlwind. It's going to be nuts. I may even get my guy Casey Pizzalia on the line and, do a show with him and kind of get an idea, of what he thinks, as well. This is March Madness. You win or you go home. No more losses now. There's no coming back from this. You lose, your season's over. And it's on to spring football, which, by the way, spring football practice kicks off in 2 days, March 15th. Be on the lookout. Spring game, April 15th. Be on the lookout. So it's just nerve-wracking, just to me, just kind of how I'm wired. I'm a little bit of, the coach in me tends to be a little bit of a worry wart where I'm thinking, they have, what about this? What about that? Is this covered? Is that covered? Are we in a, are we in a funk? Are we coming out of a funk? Was this just a one game issue. I don't know, guys. I'm just uneasy right now, and that's kind of the way that's kind of way that I do it. I'm the kind of person where it matters to me how well this team does, and covering this team for so many years, I've seen all the ups and downs that come with it. And if you know, it's hard for me to get a beat on him. I listened to Coach Tony Bennett on at BJ's tonight. He seemed like he was cool and calm about it. He had the other assistant coaches, doing some scouting, and he didn't seem too bothered or out of sorts. Of course, he's always that way, but for me, I'm climbing up the wall trying to figure out, how the team is doing. Are they rested? Are the injuries? Like I said, this is just the coach in me. When I was coaching, I made sure, we had to get our guys off their feet, get their feet up, get them resting, get their nutrients, get them hydrated, because they just came off of 3 games in 3 days, almost 4 games in 4 days. But coming off of, that many games, we're just trying to, figure out where the guys are right now. And that's what I want. I want to see if I can get an insight. Maybe I'll hit one of my sources on the grounds to kind of, see where the kids are. Tony Bennett even said, after the tournament was over, to drive home, they get home at 4. He said they just stayed and, got some rest, and, so they're fatigue, in my opinion, for that Duke game, it showed. I thought they looked fatigued to me. This was the 3rd game in 3 days, and I felt like the team had just kind of run out of gas. And when you kind of run out of gas and you're going against a long, talented, athletic team, which is what Duke was, I think the UVA was just worn down. I think, to go against a team like Duke, especially when you're undersized, which the team was, I think that you have to, be quicker than them. You have to be faster than them. And you have to have more energy than them, like an Energizer Bunny. I don't know. I just felt like this is going to be a game that this Paladin game. I think it's a game that we're going to have to pay attention to, and it's an early game, so it's a 12:40 game, right at the beginning. Of course, the Paladins are 27-7. The Wahoos are 25-7, and it's a Thursday tip-off. And we're going to try to get this thing going. Of course, Wednesday is the play-in games. Those are the first, I guess they call those the first 4, where they have 4 teams that kind of made the team or made the field, but they kind of have to play their way in to the 64 that are there. But what really got me a little out of sorts also is UVA's playing in Orlando. Now, playing in Orlando is a great thing, I think, but it's a little too far for me to travel. I wonder how many of my other media cohorts are traveling down there, but they'll be in Orlando, and it'll be interesting to see how this thing goes. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is a perfect time for FanDuel to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel app. It's safe and secure and super easy to use. Make sure when you download, you can go to the NBA and make bets for the week. You can include core markets, spreads, money lines, total, player props, player points, rebounds, etc., assistant, etc. And so many more exclusive bets like 2 times 3. 3-pointers scored in the first 3 minutes. 2 3-pointers scored in the first 3 minutes. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance for a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss a chance to get on your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook betting partner of the NBA. So yeah, everybody, you're talking about the Furman Paladins out of South Carolina. Uh, Top 11 scoring team in the nation. They score 82 points a game. Of course, we know that the way the UVA plays, they really won't let you get that high. But also, they shoot 48% from the field. And that's really good as well. That's in the top 50 of scoring teams' averages per game points of scoring percentages in the game. So they got their work cut out for them. Of course, the ACC wound up getting 5 teams in. That's more than I thought they would. They got Duke, UVA, Pitt, NC State. In my opinion, I don't see how they left out Clemson. You know, um, and of course Miami's in there too. But I don't see how they let NC State get in, and they didn't let Clemson get in. They beat Clemson. I mean, Clemson beat NC State 3 times this year. You know, I would definitely have a complaint. Send that complaint letter all the way up the ladder for that one. You beat a team 3 times, and they get in before you. If you're picking conferences. But that's just something to think about. Another subject to talk about with all the drama that comes with March Madness, man. It's about to get crazy, man. Of course, like I said, this is the calm before the storm. We'll figure it out. Hopefully Coach Bennett always looks like he's cool, calm, collected. They even talked about Tony Bennett not having doesn't get technicals, even though he's fired up about certain things, how he doesn't get technical fouls. I don't know how the man does it. But I'm excited, guys. Let's take these first few days of the week, take it all in, relax, and kind of figure out, where we're going to watch the game first of all. As you're going to root for the Cavaliers as myself. But 12:40, is what I got. So let's go ahead and get to it. Wahoo wah. Got to thank you guys for making Locked On Virginia your first listen of the day. And grab your bracket and go listen to Locked On College Basketball Bracket Breakdown with national analysis and insights from our local experts. The Locked On College Basketball Bracket Breakdown has everything you need to make the most informed decision on your bracket. Find the episodes on Locked On College Basketball wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Thank you, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.